Well, plates are gathered up and puddings are brought out. Just a few words at this stage. Just hate to say, it's so good to meet. I mean, pandemic and all that sort of thing has been quite difficult for people, especially those who've arrived in the diocese during the last couple of years, and actually to work out who the diocese are and who others in the diocese are. So it's really good now that we're able to meet and to see nobody wearing a face mask. That's really good. So it's really positive chance to re-engage and to meet. And of course, there's going to be the diocesan conference in the autumn, which again is another special moment for the diocese to be together as a family, but not here, but to be at Swanage. So that's going to be very significant and important. But it's a chance for me to thank all of you who are doing what I call the frontline ministry. The work in the parish is the frontline ministry of mission, and just want to say a huge thank you for all that you are doing and have done, especially during these very challenging last couple of years. I know it's not been easy. It's been a real challenge in all sorts of ways to, do new things, to learn to do things in new ways. It has shown that as churching we can change and make quick changes, but actually then also be able to learn from all of that in order to how we can effectively return back to our buildings and continue ministry as we've been used to it, but also keep something of that online presence for those for whom going back to church is never going to be what they'll do, especially some of those who are housebound. That online thing is really good. And also for some of the kind of courses that can be run quite effectively online, because people don't need to go and get babysitters, because you can sit at home and do the course. So there's been some good learning from it, and I know it's extra work to keep everything sort of in person as well as stuff on the side, but actually if one can somehow manage both, that it is really, really good. So I'm really grateful for all that the diocese has done and is doing as a result of these last challenging few years, and for the friendships that have been built up within the diocese, and especially towards Heather and myself during these last 9 years. Just a quick sort of rundown of our timetable of the next bit of time, so you're fully aware as to how that's going to work out. I'm making a prayer visit to each deanery. When I arrived in 2013, the first thing I wanted to do was to pray. And I went to each deanery and probably had 3 or 4 or 5 places in each deanery where I went to pray briefly. And that was a really important beginning. There isn't quite the space to do 3 or 4, 5 or 6 in each deanery, so just 1 hour in each deanery. And I think in nearly most places it's in the parish church of the area dean for an hour of prayer, thanksgiving for all that has been and looking ahead to that which is yet to be, and asking for God's blessing upon it. And the 2 deaneries have already happened, so that's Tunstall and Lancashire and Morecambe. The other 12 are yet to be fitted in the next couple of weeks. So do please come and join in those if you can, and do please pray for those as we gather together in each deanery. And then there will be a final service in the cathedral on July the 16th, and if you've not booked in and are free, then please do book a slot to come and share in that final Eucharist at the cathedral on that Saturday afternoon. There's a Diocesan Synod in the morning, and then the service at 2 o'clock in the cathedral for those who are able to be there. And then the plan is that Heather and I will move the following week. So quite quickly, once you've said you're sort of going, it's best not to hang around too long. So we're going to move the following week and then go to the Lambeth Conference from Sussex. We're moving to Sussex, where all the family are, our 3 grandchildren, our son and our daughter, and they're all going to be very close by. So it'll be very good to be close to the family. One of the challenges, well, we've loved Lancashire, I have to say, but one of the challenges has been being away from the close family, and it's not possible to pop in and babysit that easily. It takes a day to get there and another day to get back, and so it's not that easy to do. So we're moving to Sussex to be near the family, and that's going to be. Then we'll go to the Lambeth Conference with the Anglican bishops from around the communion, and then return back to Sussex after that, and not come back here and finish formally as Bishop of Blackburn on the 31st of August, a bit of holiday time after the Lambeth Conference. So that's kind of the time scale. The next note in my notes here is to say, well, it's quite a sad moment after 9 really happy and joyful years of being here in this great county of Lancashire to be stepping aside. I'm sort of not using the word retirement, although that is officially what's happening, because I'm still a Christian, I'm still a disciple of Jesus, I'm still going to go on serving him, but it won't be with the role and the responsibility of being the Bishop of Blackburn. And so I'm grateful for that, but it's quite difficult to let go, it's quite difficult to stop, and as the story here is such an exciting and a good one, it's quite difficult not to want to be part of the ongoing story over the next months and years. So we've made considerable progress, I think, as a diocese over the last 9 years. There's been lots to be thankful for, and particularly around, and you'd expect me to mention this because normally there's a sweepstake to see how often the Bishop of Blackburn will mention Vision 2026. Well, I put it in now again. And it has been good news how, having set that in place in 2015 and then a sort of a consultation and revision of that just last year, or year before, 2020, wasn't it? And then the implementation plan now leading up to 2026, that 100th anniversary of the founding of the diocese. So that's been a great story, and to feel it embedded in the diocese at quite a deep level has been good, and it was always done in such a way that I would be gone before 2026, because it shouldn't belong to one person. It needs to belong to the diocese, be owned by the diocese, be a diocesan vision, and that's been really important. So that's another reason for moving at this stage. So a new bishop, hopefully appointed and in post at some stage in 2023, they will have their hands a little bit tied for the beginning. They won't be able to come in and say, oh, we're going to do this, because the trajectory is set till 2026. And then, of course, there will be the freedom after that celebratory year to work out, well, where do we go next as a diocese? So there's a kind of sadness about leaving and stopping and saying goodbye to great friends, and what I believe is a great diocese. It's been just a joy to be here in Lancashire, in the northwest. There are myths in the south about the north, and there are myths in the north about the south. And I want to say that the north has been absolutely wonderful, and the welcome has been remarkable. And Heather and I are just so grateful for everyone's prayer, their love, their support, and their care for us over these last 9 years. Another bit of sadness is I shan't be part of the diocesan conference in the autumn, but again, that's just an important part of seeing that the story goes on and doesn't depend on one person. But the team is great, and that's the other confidence I've got as we move, is that there's a great team. God has brought a great team to the diocese, all around in terms of clergy and parishes, but also in the central team. And that team is a really great team. God has been very gracious to us in bringing that team into the diocese at this time. So I leave with great confidence in that team being able to continue to take the work forward. But it's a bit painful not to be part of the ongoing story. I write it a little bit to the script of a soap where they need to get rid of an actor or an actress and they normally get murdered or killed. And I'm sort of not in the script, but I am still alive, so I will watch from a distance. And I shall pray from a distance for all that goes on here, because it's been a really exciting opportunity to serve God during this particular period of time. And just one sort of final thought, because puddings are going to be important. Some of you know that I have a penchant for puddings. Heather's tried very hard to keep an eye on that, and I'm very grateful for that, and grateful for her support and prayer through it. But just a thought, and this is just to share something of what those who were ordinands over this last weekend shared in as their retreat last week from Wednesday through to Saturday, to the ordinations on Saturday and then on Sunday. And we took as our theme those words of the Apostle Paul to the Christians in Corinth, where he said, we are competent as ministers of the new covenant. And it's that phrase, being ministers of the new covenant, that we actually explored all the way through the retreat. And Bishop Jill and Bishop Philip both did 2 talks, and I did 2. And I think that was a really helpful reminder of the joy of the ministry that God calls us to. It's not the old covenant, and that's now obsolete, but it's the new covenant that God has got, and that wonderful gospel news of grace. Because the old covenant, a lot of it was actually us doing, or them doing stuff for God. Whereas actually the new covenant is God doing stuff for us, and its grace and its response to all that God has given. And so we've been exploring that at the retreat over the last few days, and then to get to the cathedral, and then to St Mary Magdalene Accrington last night for the third ordination service has been such a real joy, and to see those, those 19 people set free, released, authorised, commissioned, prayed for into Christian ministry as ministers of this new covenant. It's such good news. It's news that the world needs to hear, and therefore it's great to be able to share in the passing on of that message. Ministers of the new covenant, not of the letter, but of the Spirit. For the letter kills, but it's the Spirit who gives life. And it's with that sense of real joy in the message and the calling that God has given to us as his people in this diocese at this time, to continue to further that work and see his kingdom come in greater measure in the parishes around this diocese. So I want to say thank you for all that you have given to share with us. For Heather and myself, we've really enjoyed these 9 years. It's been a joy and a privilege, and we're really grateful for your love, support and your care. Pudding, I think, is on the table, and this table was last, so they shall now be first. Off you go, Sarah.